There's a big learning curve to understand what the internet really is. So it's not really like talking to people. Information and ideas are ordered in a different way. So they tend to array themselves differently. For one thing, it's all text right now. Although you can access cameras. There's cameras in laboratories. I was looking at a camera in a German laboratory today, which I was moving around with my keyboard, the mouse on my keyboard. And I was pointing it around the lab, seeing what was there. I got up this morning and looked at a camera in Seattle to see what the weather was like at Seattle University.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Are you interacting with any real people these days?
Oh, yeah. And then there's a whole group called the Usenet. They're news groups, and they're a group of people around subjects and predicates. And they talk about certain things that they have, hobbies, motorcycles and running and just light recreation. And then there's rocket science. I mean, real rocket science. And there are people who have interests, and there's a way to send them messages, and you get messages, and many people talk about many things. Nick Negroponte, who started the Media Lab up at MIT, has his back page in Wired magazine, and he writes what I think is one of the cooler little articles. And he says that we're changing from point to multi-point, which is what we're doing right now. We're one point communicating with many points.
Sure.
To multi-point to multi-point, and it's a whole different way of thinking about things. So I think I don't think radio's going to go away. We're having a good time right now, and the 8 people that are listening to us are having a good time.
Well, I hope it's a little more than 8. This is the Late Late Radio Show. I'm Elliott Forrest, talking this hour to Michael Nesmith. I've read about you for a while because you have seem really successful in most of the things that you have tried to do. I'm just wondering about your level of ambition and where your drive comes from. I mean, an enormously successful pop rock group, the video stuff, you produced movies. Is this just, this is the way I live my life, or is there some sort of underlying goal or drive that happens?
Yeah. No, it's the former. No, it's just sort of whatever's next to do. I've sought out a trade in the arts because of that being just natural to me. And also because it makes a difference, although it's very tough, especially in this country, because as an artist, you start off way behind the curve. When you go into high school,
especially now. I mean, there's been so many cutbacks in the arts, I think, recently.
Yeah, but just look at the social pressures and the way it's structured. Start off. Well, look at it this way. Here's an interesting way into it. Look at the great advancements of mankind. And look at people who you remember. Well, they are, first of all, you get the spiritual teachers out of the way. Those are number one.
Okay.
Those are the people that...
Christ and Gandhi and all those guys.
Yeah, right. Second tier are poets and philosophers. Those are the people who really make a difference and who we remember. We have records of Plato. We see that. Third are politicians and heads of state, but they're a pretty distant third. Then you head down from there, and then you get rich people, and they're real low on the scale, having made a difference in life. And the last absolute bottom, can't remember more than maybe 100 years, are athletes. Now, not taking anything away from athletes, but now look at the way the schools are structured. What is the number one most important thing in a school?
Athletics.
Athletics. What's the number 0 least important thing? The arts and poetry and philosophy.
Right.
So when I started off on this, I realized, I got an uphill battle here because you're not going to get a lot of cookies as you go along, and all the big athletes were getting all the great dates. So you just sort of slug it through and take what comes next, and there's not a lot of ambition that you can have in this kind of an environment.
Well, although I got involved in the arts to basically date the flute players, so there was that. We got to take a little break here. This is the Late Late Radio Show. I'm Elliott Forrest.
A joke, Elliott. That was a joke.
Talking to Michael Nesmith. Don't go away. This is the Late Late Radio Show. Michael Nesmith. Why don't you tell me about this album? Do we have more time? Can we play more music? Or, all right, let's let it go for now. Show. I'm Elliott Forrest. We're talking to Michael Nesmith. This is music from his new album, The Garden. It is nominated for a Grammy Award for this year. Before we talk specifically about the album, it's in the New Age music category. How do you feel about that title?
Ironic.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's
been the New Age for a long time, isn't it?
I have no idea what category it actually fits into, so I'm really happy that I'm in any category at all. I mean, it's not rock, and it's not country western, it's not rap, and it's not gospel, so, that Naris chose to put it in New Age is just fine with me. And I hope I win, although I'm not very keen on the whole competitive award thing in the arts. It's kind of odd. But at least it's out there and people can see it, which is a change for me.
This album is designed to be a unique kind of experience. You've designed it to where the music and the text go together. Do I understand this correctly?
Yeah, in 1974 I did the first part of it. It was called A Prison. And the notion is there's a book that you read as the music plays, and the music scores the movie that plays out in your mind's eye. Now, it's not synchronized.
Yeah, how do you keep up? How do you know where you are?
Yeah, you don't really. What it really, not to put too fine a point on it, but the notion is that one medium charges the other with meaning. And so it's like poetry. You just basically have language, but it's charged with meaning because it's rhythmic or it rhymes or it has something else going on. Well, you can do that with any kind of medium. You can, like with text, you can supercharge the text with meaning, and with music, you can supercharge the music with meaning. If you have another external medium that goes along simultaneously with it. So that was the experiment, and the stories were built around, in the books, were built around the notion that I'd like to have an experiment that would work in this form. But what I didn't realize, what I sort of fell backwards into, is that it really does create this very interesting and unique mind space. Sort of a new, I don't know what you call it. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound really, profound. I mean that it is sort of just a capability that we all have of joining these ideas together. That joining makes each of them very powerful.
Do you have an intended meaning in the text that you want the audience to discover, or is it a personal experience?
The story is about something.
Oh,
so you follow that through, and there are ideas that you contemplate and consider and ponder, and those ideas, I'm hopeful, become more vivid and robust as you do ponder them with the music laying in. What finally happens is that, I mean, there are a lot of people that don't read anymore. And even fewer that read for an hour at a time.
Well, as long as you got pictures, I'm there with you.
So, yeah, pictures and little, turn the page when I honk the horn.
Right. As long as on my computer I can read.
That's right. Well, I did make a CD-ROM of it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
See? All right, I got that.
But, so you can just enjoy the music on its own. I mean, there's no, and you can enjoy the book on its own, I suppose. I mean, I don't think I'll win the Nobel for it. I mean, I had the tux and everything all set.
If you win, you're ready.
And I got the ticket to Stockholm, but I don't think I'm going to win the Nobel for this. And so it's just a question of if you have the time and if you are a reader, it's a great way to experience a kind of new medium. And if you don't and you're not, then it's a good way to, get from your house to work in the morning.
Now, your children are on this album. Some of your children.
All of, yeah, well, most of them.
Most of your children.
3 of my 4.
How old are they?
One of them's like 75, and the other one is like 43, and another one's 108, and one of them's 2. I don't really know. They're all younger than I am, I know that.
What was their involvement?
Well, my oldest son, Christian, played the guitar, and my other 2 children, Jason and Jessica, sang. They're all musicians. And there's a 4th one, Jonathan, who wasn't on this one, but he's a player, and they're all musicians.
Now, you brought them into this, but are they looking like they're going to do this for a living? Did Dad encourage the kids to get involved in this?
Well, Dad didn't discourage it, you know, and it's sort of like, Nesmith and Sons. It's the family business. So, if you're if you're selling shoes and furniture, your kids are probably going to sell shoes and furniture too. And so that's what happened. Jason works with Donovan's kid, whose name is also Donovan Leach, and they have a band. And Jonathan has does some computer-generated music and stuff, and works sort of with a band. Jessica works as a solo artist, and Christian has a band.
You are credited for developing what eventually became MTV.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. What's the story behind that and your interest in video clips and how it eventually became MTV?
Well, following this train of thought where, combining 2 media, music and images were intriguing to me. When I was asked in the mid-'70s to create a clip for a song I'd written called Rio, I did it with the help of a guy named Bill Deere, who was directing commercials in Detroit at the time. And we came up with something very interesting, and the guys and it turned the record into a hit in England, because it wasn't just me standing there playing the guitar. It was actually a series of images that were very specifically designed to enhance the music and to be enhanced by the music. When I went over into Europe and played behind this record that turned into kind of a mild hit, I saw all these other television shows that were on the air over there that played these clips all in a row, and I thought, 24 hours a day, American television, this could work. So I came back over here, and I put together a pilot for the show. Bill and I put together a pilot for the show. We called it Pop Clips, and nosed around, tried to syndicate it, didn't do any good with it. And then finally a friend of mine said, well, Warner Brothers has just gotten an empty transponder because their Cube has gone off the air, which was an interactive experiment they had in Columbus, Ohio. So I went back, talked to a fellow named John Lack, who was running Warner's cable enterprise in conjunction with American Express, and told him the idea. And he said, boy, that sounds great. Can you make some shows, and we'll test them on Nickelodeon, which was their kids' channel. So we did. Needle went right off the meter. Everybody said, oh, this is hot stuff. Let's put it on the air full time. You come back here and run it for him. I said, not so fast. I don't want to be...
I'm the idea guy.
I don't want... you pay me for what we did here.
So Bob Pittman is the one who's kind of known for the one who took the ball and ran with it.
Bob was the guy that picked it up and ran with it, and John Lack was his boss, who picked it up and ran with it, and then they basically built the MTV that you see today.
Yeah, wow.
And I went back out to the West Coast and made Elephant Parts.
Which was an album?
It was a long-form video.
Long-form video.
That was the first Grammy.
Had you done any sort of short-form stuff with the Monkees?
Not any outside the television show.
Yeah.
And certainly I didn't. The Monkees are not a creative forum for me, so I just, I kind of went along with what the guys wanted to do, the producers and directors, and I was watching what they did, but I didn't do anything myself.
You never really felt like you had any control of that from start to finish, even towards the end?
Well, I didn't really ask or want any control. We had a good time just being, we were hired actors, and so...
You answered an ad.
Yeah.
Do I understand that? Tell me that story. We got about a minute here.
A minute. Standard casting call. They called us up and said, come down, and...
You were living in L.A.?
I was living in L.A., and I was working in a band, and they wanted, actors who had some musical ability, rather than the other way around, musicians who could act.
Right.
So I went down and got the job, which was good. I can tell you, I was greatly mystified when all the hue and cry arose about the Monkees not being a real band, because, no, they really weren't. It was really a TV show. Then, of course, we confused everybody when we started playing together that
you learned how to
band.
Yeah. That was 9 albums later.
Yeah, bizarre. Well, 2, but yeah, same point, yeah.
And Rhino has now re-released all these albums. Are you a part of that at all, or
You mean, do I support it, or do I like it, or do I get paid for it, or all of the above?
All of the above.
Yes.
You get paid, and you support it, and you're happy about it.
I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, they're out on CD. I've seen them. They've got some extensive liner notes, and, you've got an enormous following that people still love the Monkees music.
Yeah, I still love it. I mean, I love some of it, and it's a great, fond, and happy memory for me.
We got to take a break. We've got a few more minutes here with Michael Nesmith. I'm Elliott Forrest. This is the Late Late Radio Show. The number 1-800-890-9990. Still to come, Anthony Hopkins and more with Tom Snyder. Don't go away. This is the Late Late Radio Show. I'm Elliott Forrest. Music from The Garden, the new Grammy-nominated album from Michael Nesmith. Now, you started, this is from a new label, Rio Records. Is that a new label for you?
Yes.
Is that your company?
Uh-huh.
Now, you started a number of companies over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Why a new one for this album?
Well, this new record company is focused on a different kind of music, sort of a mixture of what the Garden is, and also a kind of southwestern ring to it. I put out an album in '92 called Tropical Campfires, and just to farm a little bit of what happens when Western music meets rumba. And
what happened?
Well, Tropical Campfires, and it was a unique and pretty successful alliance, and so I also started to find other people played this kind of music. So that's what the label's all about.
And you've recorded in Dolby Surround Sound, which is normally the stuff of movies.
Yeah, well...
what does that mean? What do you have to play that on?
Well, just a home theater system, you know. It's the fastest growing segment of the home entertainment kind of business, you know, where people buy a stereo system. People go out and they'll buy a surround system for their TV set, for playing back video cassettes and so forth. And so I've called the folks up at Dolby and said, I want to start making all my records in Dolby Surround. And I knew that there would be an interesting artistic challenge, too.
You, another hat that you've worn over the years is as executive producer for some movies, among them Repo Man, among others.
Repo Man, yeah.
Yeah, cult favorite.
Mayans invented television.
is that it?
Yeah, plate or shrimp. Yeah, that was a good time. It was a very funny movie. I liked it.
Emilio Estevez and
Emilio Estevez was the lead in it. Alex Cox was the director of it.
Stanton,
Harry Dean
Stanton, right?
Yeah, all those guys. Yeah, Alex brought me that movie, and he said, I want to make this movie. I want to make a really low budget. I said, okay. So I want to make for $16,000. I said, Alex, you can't make a movie for $16,000. He said, yes, that's all I want to pay. Guerrilla filmmaking. I said, this is a brilliant script. Can't make it for $16,000. Go back. Let's get some other stuff in here. You know, they came back. He had a script with $37,000. I said, Alex, I want to put this out in the theaters. I want a big movie here. We got to think. He said, well, I've got everything in there. I said, you don't have everything. There's no dressing rooms. He said, well, we don't need dressing rooms. I said, yes, you do. Go back and do it again. Finally, he came to me with a budget, $300,000. I said, it is not enough. We've got to have, he said, he's going to rent the picture car, the Malibu, from Hertz or Thrifty or Budget or one of those guys, or rent a wreck. I said, no, you got to buy the picture car. He said, I refuse to buy the picture car. We will rent it. It'll be fine. At the end of the day, we ended up with a budget around $1.8 million.
Which is still not a lot for a movie.
Not a lot for a movie,
yeah.
But it was, you know, to him, he thought that was the economic base of Paraguay, and it was, you know, sinful, and we shouldn't be spending that much money on the streets of downtown L.A.
Are you going to do any more movies? Are you interested? Yeah.
I'm up to my eyeballs in movies, especially music-driven movies. I'm working on 2 or 3 of them right now.
Yeah. I would be remiss for all the Monkee fans out there if I didn't take this opportunity to at least ask you. I know you did one reunion with the Monkees before. Any plans to get together again, or are you done?
No. Anytime, anywhere, I'm there. I couldn't go out on the reunion tour, which turned into the reunion tour, in the 80s because I was making a movie with Winona Ryder and Gene Alexander and Rob Lowe, and we were down in Waxahachie, down in Texas, called Square Dance. And, we had 12 dates. I was going to go do them. Turned into 180 dates.
Unbelievable.
And so I said, I can't go. But I played with them when they came out here. Played with the guys at the amphitheater and at the Greek.
Yeah.
If we can put together 10 or 20 dates and that's, a year in advance and I can schedule it.
Right. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I'd love to play that stuff.
The album is called The Garden. It is nominated for a Grammy. It's by Michael Nesmith. Also, Rhino Records has re-released all 9 Monkee albums on CD.
About to put out all the TV shows on tape.
All the TV shows on tape and some of the video stuff. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Michael Nesmith, everybody. I'm Elliott Forrest. This is the Late Late Radio Show. This is Tom Snyder.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom. This is the simulcast up and running now for Monday night, February the 6th, 1995.